Let us know in the chat whereabouts everyone's calling in from today. I say at the start of every town hall, but it's always nice to hear and see where folks are calling in from. We always get a wide geography calling in. So that's always nice to see. We have Canada, Italy, Netherlands, and Philippines on the call from our end. So let us know if anyone's based in any of those countries. And I think we can probably get started. So, Andrew, if you just move it over to the initial slide, and I'll just give a few housekeeping updates before we get into the juicy bits. So, as you probably already guessed, we are recording this session and we are live streaming to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So, if you get cut off at any point or have any issues with Zoom, you can go check us out on those channels. You can even add comments on the streams there. So, if you want to ask a question, you can ask us those there. If you have any issues, all with Zoom, as I say. Today, we're going to have some direct feature updates from Andrew. He's going to talk through the latest and greatest features that we have, some new things that are coming down the pipe too. And then we're going to move into an audience Q&A. So if you have any questions for Andrew or the rest of the direct team, we have a couple of people on the call today, then you can actually use the Q&A chat function. And just a heads up, Andrew, you've switched your screen to something else. There we go. So you can use the Q&A chat function at the bottom of your screen if you like to type out your question. But if at the end of the session you actually like to come on stage to ask your question, you can raise your hand and we'll allow you on stage to speak. If you go down to the reaction button at the bottom, there is a raise hand button in there, which will allow you to kind of flag that you want to come and say hello and ask us your question live. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Andrew so that he can get on to the juicy updates. Andrew.
Thanks, Miles. Yeah, like Miles said, we'll do a little bit longer introduction to Direct, since this is a Direct specific session, but a lot of the same content that we'll cover in the town halls as far as the latest updates and features. And we do have some new things to announce today. So that's exciting. If you're not that familiar with Direct, we do things a little bit differently than some of the other providers out there. You have two options when you use Hospitable for Direct. We do have a premium option, which we kind of think of as a bit of a hybrid OTA, meaning like a hybrid, Booking.com or a hybrid Airbnb, in the sense that we do some of the same protections that they provide. So we are providing damage protection. We are doing vetting of every guest that stays with you if you go through the premium program, because we're the merchant of record. So that means that you don't have to take liability for all of those payments, whether there's a cancellation, making sure you can fund a cancellation, fund that refund. We are protecting you from chargebacks in the sense that we're defending you against a chargeback. If it's related to fraud, we're actually guaranteeing you against that fraud chargeback. That's our job to do that. If it happens, and it has happened a few times already in our history with Direct, we still pay you out. So you won't even know that there was a chargeback. Hospitable will kind of eat the lost costs. That's our job, to protect you from fraud. But it's super easy to get started with premium. It's meant to be kind of a turnkey solution. If you haven't had experience yet in Direct, this is the safest way to do it, because it's got all the protections built in, and all you have to do is connect a bank account and then get your site up. And your site could be a Hospitable provided site. So we've got 10 different templates to choose from, and we'll take all of the content from your connected channels on Hospitable and turn on a website for you in a matter of minutes. Otherwise, you can always have a custom site, a site that you've built on your own or through another third party, and you'll just use widgets in that sense. So you can drop a booking widget on your site and have complete control over your website. And then as the merchant of record, you will be holding those payments as you're still liable for refunds. And once the guest checks in, we'll be paying out for those. So that's how the premium side of that works. And these launched basically about the same time. And the latest number that we've got is we're getting close to $3 million in bookings on the premium side. It is the more popular option with us. We've got more hosts on premium now than we do on basic. Premium is only available right now for properties in the United States and Australia, and we'll be launching soon in the UK and hopefully soon in Canada too. We're still working out some issues with the taxes there that we manage. The other side, if you are either kind of more of I don't know, you've already set up yourself on direct, you have kind of a tech stack that you like to use with your direct bookings, you want more customization for the tools you use, then direct basic might be an option for you. Direct basic, you need a Stripe account. So you can create one when you're setting up direct on Hospitable, or you can bring your own. You can connect multiple Stripe accounts, just like in direct premium, you can connect multiple bank accounts. So property managers, if you want to pay out directly to the property owner, that's possible already. And then you are the merchant of record with basic, which means all of the things we covered in premium, where you need to be aware of how to defend yourself against chargebacks, how to make sure you're not, paying out everything before your liability is actually passed for the reservation. Those are things that you need to be savvy about and manage on your side. And yeah, we don't have an integrated service for guest vetting or damage protection at this time. We may do that soon. And those would be like on a per cost basis. So you could control that, but you might end up getting a better deal with premium, where we're kind of the wholesale buyer for those services. And we're able to do that a very cost efficient way for premium. But you do have the full freedom there with basic to decide that. And then because you are the merchant of record, you can decide when you pay yourself. So you can take your payouts immediately. You just need to be careful that you're managing your business, you're managing the risk of your business appropriately. So what that looks like feature-wise, we're going to cover the cost in the next couple of slides. We don't take any part of a direct basic transaction. So you get to keep all of your payout except what Stripe takes out of it. So Stripe will take the payment processing from that. On the premium side, we're going to include the payment processing. So that comes out of the fees that we're charging the guest. We have a guest service fee of 6% plus $10. That is very competitive. Like, we're just doing kind of a cost plus of all the tools that we've integrated at wholesale prices. It ends up being much less when you consider the payment processing fees are there. It's a pretty small fee. And you're going to end up saving on the premium side between 10 to 14% over Airbnb, and much greater over different OTAs than that. But yeah, every plan gives you a site. If you don't want to use our site, you have widgets to use on a custom site. All of those include our latest integration with Google Vacation Rentals. It does require you use one of those plans. If you're already a Hospitable customer not using direct, you need a direct site to be able to work with Google Vacation Rentals, and they all include tax collection. Premium will soon include also tax remittance, depending on where your property is located. That's an active project we're working on this quarter. And then where the differences really kick in then are the things we covered. So payment processing fees are included on premium. You're going to get the guest vetting. So we have that integrated with the process, the chargeback protection, the fraud guarantee, and the damage protection that's coming with every booking that comes through premium. How that looks on the pricing side, since we're not taking any transaction fee on basic, the actual monthly fee per property is a bit higher. It starts at $8 and gets cheaper as you scale. And then on the premium side, it starts at $5 and gets cheaper as you scale. And then we've got the transaction fee included there. So that's how the plans work out. There's also a light plan that is for properties that don't have payment processing. So if you have a property somewhere where Stripe or our premium offering are not offered, you can be on light. And light means you don't have any payment processing on your site. It's just a way for you to take leads. They can still make booking requests, and you'll have to find a way with one of your local payment processors, wherever you're located, to take that payment. But that is only available where our payment processing services are not. So Stripe's available in about 38 countries. Premium, like I said, we're rolling out to the UK and Canada next, and EU probably the beginning of next year for all EU countries. And otherwise, that's the difference in the plans. We'll cover some of the exciting updates. If you haven't been on a town hall recently, you wouldn't have seen this beautiful new update to our sites. We have property search now. This is something that's been lacking since we launched direct. It is a requirement, obviously, to run a site. If you have more than just a handful of properties, you can now search availability across all properties. We're going to display your properties on a map, and it's just a really great update. We are very close to launching this. We've got a handful of pilot sites. You're looking at one of them right now. This is going to be rolled out this week. So this is going to be rolled out first on Hospitable sites. Let me actually look at the next slide here. First on Hospitable sites, and then we're going to immediately start doing the work for non-Hospitable sites. So if you have your own site, this will be a widget experience. That's where we're kind of rebuilding that infrastructure, I could say, on the direct side to make that more clear. I think some people have been confused about needing a widget if they have a Hospitable site. You don't. If you have a Hospitable site, you don't need to mess with widgets. We're going to make that more clear in the UI. And then we'll have basically, instead of creating a widget, you'll create a custom site, and that'll allow you to tell us what your URL is and to create a booking widget as well as a property search widget and to set the config for those items. And that's everything you need then to run a custom site on Hospitable. And it'll also give us the functionality we need to let you use Google Vacation Rentals as a custom site, which is something we don't allow now. We need to take a little bit more data from you. We need to know what your URL is of all your property pages so we can make sure those are always up, and we can report to Google that we have a viable link for all your properties when we send inventory to Google. Little off topic there, but on the multi-property search side, as you saw, there's a location dropdown. We're really excited about that. We've gotten some good feedback from the pilot group about what locations are valuable to your guests. So depending on how your business is oriented, if you're doing midterm rentals or short-term rentals, or you're in a vacation destination versus a work travel destination, that location drop-down list is going to give you a way to really target and suggest and kind of put the idea in your guest's mind where to look for your properties. And we're giving you the ability to disable the map. I'm not sure why you would do that, but it's there if you need it. And yeah, that'll be out very soon, hopefully this week for Hospitable sites. Next up, we did launch Google Vacation Rentals several weeks back. We've been optimizing it. So you can see on the graph here, we're really excited the trajectory is going, and it's still going up. Actually, the last date on there is not, the last day on this graph is never actually up to date. So it's actually still trending very much up. And that's because we added the property type figure. So instead of sending everything to Google as a vacation rental, we're now specifying if it's an entire house or an apartment or a villa, and we're sending your aggregate review rating score from OTA connected channels. And that's been a huge boon. We knew that was going to happen, but you can see like the inflection point in the graph is basically when that data that had been syncing for a while with Google started showing up, and we started really seeing the number of impressions show up, as well as the conversions. So we will be tracking conversions from Google Vacation Rentals soon. We're not doing that now, but you can see here the aggregate data that we have across all 3,500 properties we've got on GVR right now. That yeah, the data looks pretty good, and so we're excited about the amount of business that's going to start bringing you soon. And there we go. Adjustments. The first part of adjustments went live, I think about a month ago. You were able to send basically an ad hoc refund whenever you wanted on a reservation. The last part of that went live a few minutes ago. So the request a payment side, the ad hoc charge, that is now live for all users. So if you're using Direct Basic or Direct Premium, you can now at any point request an additional payment from your guest, if that's a pool heating fee, whatever it is. This is not an alteration. So the difference being, on an alteration, you're making some change to the underlying reservation, either a date change or a number of guests change or a number of pets, etc. That's an alteration still. This is an ad hoc. So anything that's not covered by an alteration, you can use. We're going to send a request to pay. On an alteration, we'll immediately charge the payment method on file. This will be we'll send them an email, and it'll give them a link, and they can open, and they can either charge it on the current credit card we have on file, or they can switch to a different payment method to complete that payment. And the refund is, yeah, anything you need to refund the guest. Something went wrong with the experience, and after the checkout, even for up to 2 weeks, you can still send a refund or request additional payment if something went wrong either on the guest or the host side, and you want to make that right with a payment or a refund. That option is there for you now. And pet fees are live as of a few minutes ago as well. So this one, it took us a while, and honestly, it was actually kind of complicated in the end. I know that doesn't make sense if you're not in the weeds in the back end of our product. But yeah, we did not have pet fees on Direct for a long time. And I know that was inconvenient for a lot of you guys, but they're there now. So as long as you've got a pet fee, and we're pulling those in from Airbnb. So if you have a pet fee on Airbnb, it should have synced on your property page, and you'll start seeing those now on the property page. You'll see your pet fee, and we'll start charging. And again, it's not including service animals, so we do need to be careful about respecting local regulations in your jurisdiction. Make sure that you're not charging for service animals if you're not legally allowed to. The legal items, I think, are very local, so we don't know what they are. We're just being clear from the beginning that it does not include service animals. But hopefully that helps you get those pet fees collected with less friction than we had. So those are the latest updates. What we're working on now is, like I said, we're going to get GVR, so Google Vacation Rentals, working for non-hospitable sites. That's part of the process that we're doing to get multi-property search rolled out for non-hospitable sites. And we're also going to be giving you more controls over your widgets that you use on custom sites. Currently, we only let you pick a theme for your widget, and that's kind of limited options. We're going to give you full color control, including some styling options with widgets. So anyone using non-hospitable sites, this is a big upgrade for you. And when this project goes live, probably a couple of weeks or so for us to get that live, that'll give you really full control over the look and feel of the widgets that you put on your custom site. We're involved in filing for taxes now. We're actually having a little bit of difficulty like that. We are a US company owned by a Frenchman, Pierre, which seems to really be getting us stuck on online filing with different states and jurisdictions. So it's a little bit of a cumbersome process, but we'll get through it. And once we do that, we will start remitting taxes for premium hosts wherever we can, starting with the areas where we have the highest accumulation of hosts and the highest accumulation of direct premium business. Otherwise, AutoHost is the vendor for guest vetting on premium. We aren't able to give you the guest ID that we're collecting right now. We will be able to do that soon. They're just debugging the last couple of things, and we'll be updating the guest profile that you see in the inbox when you make a decision whether or not to accept the request to book. We'll let you actually see the full ID now. And if you need that for your own records, you'll be able to download that, and you won't have to ask the guest to, again, provide their guest ID if you need that. We've already collected it as part of the premium booking experience. So we'll have that, and we'll share that with you. And last item on current items in progress, direct premium expansion. We'll be announcing the UK launch next week. We're going to a Boostly Bash, one of our vendors for custom sites. And that's our big announcement there, is that we'll be rolling out Premium UK. And again, Canada, like I said earlier, we're still working through some tax issues with our tax vendor before we know exactly what the ETA is on direct premium for Canadian properties. Last slide, I think, upcoming projects. So after those items are out, widgets will be upgraded to the latest version, and then we'll end of life the old ones. So if you are a long-running direct customer with a non-hospitable site, you may need to check and make sure that you've got the latest widgets. You'll want to do that because we have a lot more features and a lot more customization with the latest widgets. The old ones don't allow you to do any customization of the look and feel. Quotes, one of the most requested features. Unfortunately, it is taking us a while to get there, but the quotes will allow you to basically take a manual booking and change that into a payment request. So you'll be able to take a request for reservation from a host by email or over the phone, block the dates for them like you would to create a manual booking on Hospitable, and then just send the payment request. You can set a custom rate. You can change basically what you're quoting on your direct site. You could make a discount if you want to change to a custom price, and then send that quote to the host by email, and they'll just click a link and pay to confirm the booking. So it's kind of the reverse setup from what happens now with your direct site. It's initiated from Hospitable rather than initiated on your direct booking website. Another big one, we need to optimize for conversion on big bookings and bookings with long lead times. Right now, we only take one payment upfront when the guest makes a booking. That's not great for midterm bookings. It's not great for long lead times and expensive bookings. We know that. That is hopefully something we can get done before the end of the year. Really optimize for those and help you convert more really business changing bookings for you. And then rental agreements is a little bit further down the horizon. We're going to do an integration with an e-signature. So on the direct basic side, where rental agreements I think are more valuable, on premium, we do have terms of service. Since we're part of the transaction on direct premium, you're not required in that sense, or you don't need a rental agreement for your protection on direct premium. But I realize rental agreements are sometimes needed in certain locations, or for longer term bookings, you want to have a rental agreement. We'll be doing an integration with that. So it'll populate with all the data automatically and capture an e-signature for you. So that's something that's, I saw people hitting up our feature request board this week for that. And we are going to try and get that out the door for you. That's everything from my side. Hopefully that wasn't too fast. If it was, we can now open up to QA and you can ask me to repeat myself.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the updates, Andrew. So yeah, folks, just a reminder that if you'd like to come and ask a question on stage, you can use the raise hand function. If you head down to the reaction button at the bottom and hit raise hand, will allow you to come on stage to ask your question. We do also have a whole bunch of questions in the Q&A and chat. So Andrew, I'm tempted to just kind of cross a few of those off before we start with the raise hands. So just going to the chat first, so we don't miss those. So first question was around the multi-property search. Just asking if there's going to be the ability to filter between a mix of stage durations, for example, short-term versus medium-term rentals.
I mean, I guess you're looking at like a flexible date then, like on a kayak or something. So right now, the V1 of it is going to work as you select a check-in, check-out date, and we'll search the availability across all of your properties on your site. Yeah, a fuzzy date search could be something we could contemplate. I think the next improvement we'll do on the property search will be to include amenities. So if someone wants to search for a pool or free parking or pet friendly, whatever those are, you'll be able to control what amenities you want published on your search bar, and they'll be able to filter your inventory of properties based on those amenities. Yeah, interesting feedback about the fuzzy dates. It's something we can look at.
Cool. And then just one more question from the chat before we move to those raised hands. So Jen is a newbie to Hospitable, and just basically asking about updating photos and information across channels. If you're wanting to update photos on Airbnb, for example, but also have that updated on Direct and Verbo. How does someone go about doing that? What's like the quickest method for updating a listing across channels, basically?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky how it works. So if you want your Airbnb listing and your direct booking listing to have the same content, then you would want to update on Airbnb. We're doing basically a one-way sync for that. And so when you update photos on Airbnb, we'll get those pulled in. I don't think it's an immediate sync, but we will pull those in over time. You can change the sorting of them on the Hospitable side, and that will update only your direct booking site. But if you start to change content generally on your property, what we're going to do is we're going to stop syncing with Airbnb for that content, because we're basically taking a cue from that you want to edit that content for your direct booking site only. So your description is probably not going to be the same on your Airbnb site that it's going to be on your direct booking site. So in the beginning, we'll keep pulling updates from Airbnb until you edit that field. So if you edit the description field, you'll now see that the Airbnb icon on that field will go to gray, and that'll let you know that we're no longer pulling from them and you have content just for your direct website. Photos are a little bit different. You can sort those without breaking the sync. Once you start deleting or adding photos to Hospitable, we'll stop syncing, and you'll want to manage those separately from Airbnb and Hospitable. And then most of that content does not sync to VRBO. Yeah, you might want to look into the help docs for exactly what that does. It's pretty clear in the UI in Hospitable. You'll see an Airbnb logo with it, and you can hover on that to kind of see what the current status is and what's happening. But that's generally how I described it. That's how it works. And it is a little bit complicated to understand. We're going to make improvements and making that a bit more user-friendly.
Cool. Jen did say, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
cool.
So we'll now move over to some of those raised hands, because we've got a couple there. So first up, we have Wavy, inviting you on stage to talk. Hello.
Hey, everybody. How you doing today?
Doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So yeah, love the direct booking feature. I manage about 20 properties all over the country. And my question is, or co-hosting, and my question is, if I wanted to set up a direct booking site, am I able to go and create it from scratch, create a listing from scratch, or does it all have to pull directly from Airbnb?
Excellent question. Right now, we do require a connected channel, at least for the setup. So it's kind of like we consider ourselves kind of a light PMS or light channel manager because we don't do full content management. And because of that, we do need a connected channel, either Verbo or Airbnb. That listing does not need to be live after that. So you could mute it. Delist it on Airbnb if you don't want it listed on Airbnb, if you want to do direct only, but you do need to go through the process of actually letting us pull the content first from there to populate that. That's something that will change in the near future. But if you want to go live now, then we do need a connected listing before we can create that direct listing.
Got it. And then I guess a follow-up question to that, and the reason for my main question is, so with that being said, is it possible for me to go and create a listing on Airbnb, deactivate it, have everything pulled over before it's deactivated?
Yeah.
And then I guess my question, regulations and things like that, like in Washington, D.C., they have a strict short-term rental law. But I was wondering, will you guys remit those taxes, lodging fees, and also kind of, I guess, be the intermediary between the licensing restriction? Or does that listing have to be compliant with the state?
Yeah. So on the premium side, yes, because we're actually the merchant of record. And so we have to manage our own risk and liability. And so we're only going to allow you to do things that you legally should do because we're actually liable for those. So like if you're in a gray area or something like that, that's not something we can support on premium. You need to be on the basic side where we're not making any decisions for you about your own liability and risk. The basic side, we're basically a technology provider and we're saying, here's a website, here's the software you need to take payments. You run your own business. And if you're in one of those areas, then direct basic is a better fit for you because we would have to shut down something that's not, compliant legally. We're not able to do that as the merchant of record.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thanks so much for your help. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And we don't actually have anyone else with a hand raised. There was someone and they've disappeared. And just like that, they're back. So Brandon, inviting you on stage now.
Hey,
Hello,
thank
Brandon.
you. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. How you doing, Brandon?
Awesome. Thank you. I guess my biggest thing I'm focusing on right now is the rental agreements, and I know so your update said we're working on that in the future. We've got our own website. It's Squarespace, and I'm not currently using rental agreements for anything that comes through the regular OTAs. I'm only focusing on them for direct, just for peace of mind for guests as well.
Yeah.
Right now, I guess the best option is once I get their contact info, just I guess text the link, and I don't know if it's DocuSign or if it's Sign Now, just filling them out that way because we currently can't send anything through like Hospitable chat or inbox, right? And I guess I'm trying to find the best like temporary measure until we get something more concrete. And I guess looking for any what you guys would recommend.
Yeah. I mean, on the direct side, you don't have any restrictions like that. Like you can send a URL as soon as you have a booking request, right? So before you accept that request, you can already send the rental agreement. We don't block sending a link in an email, right? So that's not a problem for you there. I mean, the other thing you consider, like on the premium side, we do have like a 20-page terms of service that is very host friendly protection oriented. So I don't think you need a host agreement from the stance of managing risk in your business. You might need a host agreement for your local regulation, something like that. In that sense, we don't have a solution other than you kind of do it on your side like you're doing now and send a URL with the booking request and then explain to the guest, if they're doing direct basic, that you do require this rental agreement to be signed for you to accept the request.
Sure. And that's probably, and that makes sense that since I can send a URL because it could go either way. I may start doing that for the OTAs. One thing, obviously you mentioned you now can request, additional funds, let's say pet fee, or let's say it's pool heating fee. And you can do that. If they go directly to our website and they book, they're on the Stripe and everything, it's fine. But if we take a lot of bookings, people reach out on Facebook or Instagram and we just manually create it. If I go into direct and ask them for an additional fee, the next prompt, is it going to ask them for their credit card information or because they don't have it on file? I guess a lot of times they just Zelle or they Venmo. So I'm trying to make that more official.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. That's kind of the next phase of adjustments, these ad hoc fees and refunds, is to extend those to manual bookings. That's what you're doing now, is creating a manual booking. That's not a direct booking from our point of view. And so, yeah, that's not integrated with payments yet. We are looking at doing that because that's a very interesting way to do it, including OTA bookings, to be able to take ad hoc fees on your own at a lower fee. So we are looking at extending that outside of direct reservations. And I think the use case you have is a great one for the quote feature, where you take someone from Facebook, you block the dates on your calendar, and you say, hey, here's a link to confirm your booking. And then they can immediately be on your Stripe or your premium booking experience, and everything will be managed in Hospitable then for you. So it's all done, and looks a little bit more on the up than a Zelle or a PayPal kind of thing.
And I think that's one little piece that I missed is that quote feature. That's where folks can reach out, and I'll go play with this right after. I can go create a quote and send them that basically URL link or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's in development. That was on what we're working on now. Like, Perfect. We're just getting into the quotes infrastructure, but yeah, you're very familiar with the process because we're basically just building it on top of manual bookings. Gotcha. So when you get to that screen and you're going to create your booking, you'll just be able to have a payment link, and you can email the payment link to them, and we'll send the itinerary and say, you have, and you'll be able to set a expiry time if you want. So you 24, 48 hours to make the payment. Otherwise the dates will get released. And so it'll help you just in the background manage getting that booking confirmed. Otherwise it'll free up your calendar if the guest flakes.
Yep. That's awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you very much, Brendan. And next on stage, we have John. Hello, John. How are you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Hey, John.
Good.
Let me turn on my camera just so you can see me, if I can. I guess
I don't think we'll be able to see you, unfortunately. I don't think Zoom allows it.
That's fine.
That's a very lifelike photo,
though. I take after you guys. Just quick question. So my direct booking website is integrated with Boostly, the previous version before they upgraded.
Okay.
And so between their old version and then your new book direct basic or premium, can I is everything continuing to be functioning the way they should without having to upgrade between Boostly and Hospitable?
It should be. We reached out to Boostly recently to let them know that our widgets are changing. So to let them know there'll be an end of life on the old booking widgets, and they already made all the changes. They need to do that. They didn't specify if it was like an old version of their sites are also supported. That's a better question for Boostly. But there's nothing, I think, in the technology we're using. The property search widget is a little bit more modern. We're using a web component instead of an iframe. But I don't think there's anything in Boostly's, even their older sites, that would cause that not to work. So my answer would be no, but I think Boostly is actually the better person for that question.
Perfect. And then the second thing is, am I able to create my own Hospitable website so that I could get onto Google Vacation Rentals in conjunction to my Boostly website? Using a different URL, of course.
Yeah, you can. It just depends on how urgent it is, because I think we're no more than a couple weeks away from having custom sites supported. That's the work we're doing for rolling out property search to custom sites. At the same time, that's going to allow us to take the information we need to basically manage the health and uptime of your site, so we can use that with Google Vacation Rentals. So we're about 2 weeks away. You might not want to do the work unless it's really urgent for you to get on GVR.
All right. That's all I needed to know. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Thank you very much, John. Cool. So next up in the queue, we have Anthony. Hello, Anthony. How are you doing?
Hey, guys. Good to see you. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Cool. Andrew, I know when we chatted at Verma, you mentioned, and you just mentioned it now too, it reminded me about the kind of newer, the next version of the booking widget that's going to be a non-iframe version. Do you know when that's actually going to be kicking off? Since I'm in the process of kind of bringing all of our direct sites to the Hospitable widget, and I imagine that's going to require kind of a new code insert it definitely will, because it's currently iframe. I just didn't want to implement those, and stylistically it would just take a lot longer to do it twice.
Okay. Yeah. So there's kind of two phases happening. Like there's one phase, which is we had old widgets that still use the same technology, but just the URL format we used didn't allow us to have custom skins of the booking widget. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about end of lifing the old booking widget.
Right.
The new one that's replacing it is still the same iframe as the technology, but it does allow us to give you custom colors and track who's actually using it. So we're going to be doing conversion tracking from that as well. Then like the third phase of that, I think, is what you're referring to, which is doing that as a web component. And that I don't have an ETA on. I think it's not a huge lift on the front end developer side to do that. Then he really whipped the property search out quite fast. And the web component is so much nicer to work with than an iframe. Yeah. So I would say by the end of the year, hopefully sooner, but I don't have an ETA on that.
Okay. That's fair. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Anthony. So I think this may be a good opportunity, Andrew, to kind of go through the Q&A. We've got a few questions still left unanswered. Aaron's trying his best to get to as many as he can, so is Kevin.
Cool. Yeah, but I'll jump on one here.
Sweet.
So Jonathan asked, will there be an option to resort the direct landing page photos carousel? Good news for you, Jonathan. That exists today. You can do a couple of things to sort on the direct sites. You can sort your properties, how they appear. So if you've got, like your nicer properties that you want to promote, you can change that within direct when you pick your site. And then you can resort the properties on that list. If you haven't seen that yet, that allows you to put your nicer properties up top and maybe your not so nice, but still nice properties down at the bottom, that you can sort the properties on that list. You're asking about the images, which is also possible. And that's done on the property page. So you go on the property page, select which property you want to do. And then in the details section, there's photos, and you can just drag and drop those photos. You can also kind of an underutilized feature of the Hospitable sites, you can assign features to appear in different placements. So if you have like a neighborhood section in the template you're using, I don't know if all of them do, but if you have a neighborhood section, you can put a neighborhood tag on the photo you want to appear there. So you can sort, you can delete from there. It's not going to delete it from Airbnb. You can add photos just for your direct sites, change all the sorting, and then tag them to control the custom placements on your Hospitable site. Yeah, I think there was a general question just about customizing direct booking websites. So your options there, we have 10 templates in general. So when you get a Hospitable site spun up, that's probably the biggest decision on the look and feel of your site is the template. You can preview all those changes. You can switch very quickly between them. So if your site's already live, it's probably not a big deal to just kind of run through and look at how the templates match your brand's look and feel. You can then add your social channels, change the name, change the content, do all the changes we just talked about with the photos to make sure that looks good. And that's kind of the limitation of where the current sites are at now. I think the Hospitable sites that will be a big priority for us at the beginning of next year. And we're really going to look at making those really drive business for you. So on the SEO side, on the appearance side, further customization, more content, being able to add more pages. I think that's something we're okay where they're at now. They're kind of good enough for you to get business, but they're probably not driving a whole lot of new business. And so we really want to make those an asset and have kind of a best in class in the industry site for you. So that's a project for early next year, though. For now, basically what I've said is what you can do today. And then, if you grow out of those sites, you're able to grow into your own site and do your own non-Hospitable site and use our widgets if you find that you're really too constrained by the current offering.
Great.
What else we got?
So I mean, there's a question around CMS. I think you kind of covered it off there, but access to the back end. So currently, hosts don't really have too much access to the back end of their website. Can you maybe just clarify exactly there what is editable and what's not?
Yeah, so like maybe this is referring to like being able to hide or reveal sections of the website. Yeah, you don't have those kind of choices. You can customize the content in those sections, not the titles. You have, the color schemes are limited to the 10 themes we have. And yeah, those are the limitations today. But yeah, your photos and the content within those sections is what you can control. And then yeah, we hope to improve that going forward. Had a question about again on the custom sites and GVR. So what's getting released in 2 weeks is, like I said, we're trying to bring some clarity to what widgets are, who needs to use them. It's not people using Hospitable sites. And so what we're going to do is just kind of change the way the back end of Hospitable looks. And we'll break it, instead of sites and widgets, it'll be hospitable sites and non-hospitable sites. And when you create a non-hospitable site, we're going to ask you for your root domain, as well as the slug, like the end of the URL that is for each of your properties. And what we do then is we need to have a regular cadence of pinging those sites to make sure they're up, and checking your SSL certificate to make sure the HTTPS, the secure connection, is viable to each to your site and to all the property pages. We have to do that for GVR to work, because we, as your channel partner to connect to Google, we are liable for maintaining the uptime of all of the properties that we send them. So we have to make those checks, and that's why it's kind of getting lumped in with this concept of a custom site and the concept of the property search, because we need you to have controls for the new property search widget, which is how we're going to be able to give you that property search experience on a custom site. We have to make a widget out of that can be dropped onto your site. And so we'll ask you, for it to control your locations, for your location dropdown. Yeah, that's probably more detail than you needed. But that's what's coming in the next couple of weeks, is what we're working on, is doing those custom sites, GVR. And again, the other update you're going to get there is completely custom color schemes and a few other options as we look at them. So you can really get full control over the two widgets now, the property search widget and the booking widget.
Great.
Yeah.
We have a couple of hands raised, so
Okay.
let's give those folks some chance. It's actually returning hands. So Wavy, I'm inviting you on stage if you have a question for us.
Returning champion.
Yes. I had a follow-up question. So do you all offer any type of like hands-on one-on-one support with I guess Hospitable users to help set up the direct booking? Because I pretty much have everything else set up. Okay, perfect.
I must have I think I actually skipped that slide, but we did have a slide introducing. We have a dedicated direct support team. Kevin from that team is on this Zoom. He's answering questions in the chat and the Q&A. But we actually built a dedicated team of experts on direct. That's Eileen and Dawn and Kevin. You might have interacted with some of them. They do have, as capacity allows, the ability to book a call with you to do a setup. Much of Hospitable's team is also available for office hours. So if you go into Hospitable and you look in the help section, there's a button there to book office hours. I do a minimum 2 hours a week of those. So you're welcome to book a half hour with me and we can go through that. Or you can just contact chat and ask them to set up a call, and they'll schedule a call with you, and they can go through and go through your whole setup.
All right, great. Thanks for that, Andrew. Appreciate you.
Yep. No worries.
And I had one more question. I don't know if this call is centered towards live bookings. It was more so toward the questions about cleaning and the cleaner schedule. Is that what this call is about, or no?
Let's save that for a town hall.
Gotcha. Okay, no problem. Thank you.
One, because I'm not the expert on cleaning either. But yeah, thanks, Wavy.
No problem.
Thank you very much. And we also have Anthony back with another question. Anthony, inviting you on stage now.
Okay.
Hey, okay. I have two follow-ups. First is around like custom domains. Will custom domains allow for discrete domains versus a domain that with the use of a slug as the property definer? Is that
what's the use case for that?
So each of our properties have their own domain. So it's not like we have one master domain and properties underneath that. They're all their own domains, kind of tied to their own brands, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. I mean, as far as the setup would be when we roll out this feature and we have a custom site, I think you would just add a custom site for each root domain that you have, and that would give you, I mean, you're already going to have a unique booking widget for every property. And then, yeah, I guess, yeah, you could do a custom site for everyone, and that would allow you to use a different root domain. And then if you do have like an aggregate page that lists all of your content, I think you'd have to create another custom site on our side for that. And that would allow you to set up the property search widget that we were talking about.
Perfect. Okay, awesome.
There might be, yeah, there might be some more. That's a pretty edge case for us. There might be some other things we have to do to support that. So yeah, maybe keep in touch regarding that. That's an interesting use case.
Okay, thank you. The second question is around Halfy integration. So I know that there's a feature request that I started, or someone else maybe even, I don't remember where it started, but to have that integrated into Hospitable from a communications and operations perspective. Is there anything you can update us on regarding that? It looks like it has jumped from a couple weeks ago where it was in the hundreds, and now it's in the 300. And I have it. I have the link I can post here in the chat for anyone who's using Halfy. But
drive that up. Like and subscribe. Yeah. So I think it is a theme for next year for us as well, is distribution. So if you notice on the Google Vacation Rentals, it's on, it's not called GVR, it's called channels. And that is something that we want to do for our direct partners, is help you with distribution, help you bring in more leads. Halfy is high up on the list. We were at VRMA last 2 weeks ago now, and we met with a lot of other sites that are great. Like we met with someone that's just specialized in driving traffic for midterm bookings. Some really exciting integrations, actually some last minute inventory. So we do want to really help you guys juice your sales. But it's not something we're doing. Okay, this year's almost over. But yeah, I don't have an ETA on those. But that is a theme for us. So it is going to be one of our highest priorities, is looking at all those different channels that will bring you more business on the direct side.
Good stuff. Thanks.
Cool.
Andrew.
Thanks, Anthony. Let me run through a few questions. We're kind of getting towards the end of time here. So we got a question from Roberts. When will Google Vacation Rentals accept a custom URL? Trick question. It already does. So we allow custom URLs. We're talking specifically about custom sites or non-hospitable sites. That's the only thing that's not supported. So we do support Google Vacation Rentals. If you have a custom domain on a hospitable site, you can already set that up today, and then wait 2 weeks for Google to sync your content before you're live, FYI. Let's see. I had a question about bounce rates, conversions, and other funnel metrics. Yep. That's part of the work we talked about, kind of doing the end of life of the legacy widgets we have. We're not able to track conversions on those. Once we get everyone upgraded to the newest class of widgets, the booking widgets for those non-hospitable users, we will start actually updating the stats. If you use Direct, there's some old content on there that was been coming soon for a while. We will start giving you metrics on those. We're doing an overall, like a huge metrics project for the core product. That's nearing completion. So that'll be exciting when that comes out, and Direct will get its own metrics, borrowing some of those same components. And we need the latest widgets to be rolled out, and then we'll be updating that data for you. See any other good ones? I'm hearing on podcasts, this is from Hope, that is trending not to charge a cleaning fee or include in your daily price. Thoughts? Absolutely. This is something we want to give you discretion as a host, whether or not you would like your cleaning fee bundled. And this is kind of a perennial topic on town halls. It does have an impact on certain things like percentage-based promo codes, which we haven't gotten to yet because of this question. When the percentage-based promo code has to be calculated from your nightly rate only, but you've bundled several fees into your nightly rate, it gets a little bit complicated how to explain that to the guest when they can't kind of do their own math and check your calculation that they got a 10% discount. So yeah, I realize the importance of that. I think we also want to bundle, even the guest service fee in there, so you can have a fee-free channel if you like doing that. Not all hosts like bundling. Some do, some don't. We want to give you the option to do that, where our compliance and tax calculations will allow it. there are other things to consider. We do have jurisdictions in the States that are checking on marketplaces. They might check your site to make sure you're calculating tax correctly. And if they can't tell that it's calculated correctly because you've bundled certain things in there, that could also be a problem. So there's reasons that we have to be cautious with doing that. But it is definitely a desire that we've had explained to us, and we understand. So there will be action there. It's just, I think it's not the highest priority yet. The highest priority really for us right now is helping you convert more bookings for payments. So quotes, scheduled payments, deposits, recurring payments, those kind of things. I think that for me personally, I think that's the biggest priority for direct right now. See any other good ones, Miles?
I think you've gone through all of the direct questions, to be honest, apart from one that Aaron was typing an answer to. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions kind of more generally about Hospitable, we encourage you to check out our town hall, same time as this, but next week. So that's kind of where we generally talk through product features. We are trying to focus this conversation on direct to get to everyone's direct questions.
I saw one more from Daniel here. So he's working with Boostly on a custom site. He already sent them widgets from June. And yeah, we would not have had, I don't believe we would have had the latest widgets out. So the booking widgets used to live in the property page in Hospitable. That's probably where you got them in June of this year. Now the latest booking widgets are on direct, and we actually removed so you can no longer find the old links to the old widgets. Those were removed from the property page. We replaced that with a direct tab in the property page. So all of your direct information is now homed there. But you need to get those booking widget links from direct. If you get them from direct, they are the latest links. You don't have to worry. And I would send those to Boostly just to make sure that they get the correct links into your site for you.
Great. Good recommendation there.
I had someone having trouble finding the direct link for office hours. Let me make sure I gave you good instructions. It should just be, it's the help section. And then I'm actually not logged into a Hospitable account right now. It should be the help section and then support the book an office hour.
Yeah. I shared that. I don't know if it was
feedback, I think. So you get to help.
Give feedback.
Give feedback, then office hours. I think it's moved.
Thank you, Ben. He's not only the front-end developer for Direct, he is also doing some great support tonight. Thank you, sir. I think we're good.
Yeah, I don't see any more direct questions. So last opportunity, folks. Quick hand raise, or we're going to end this session in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think I've almost lost my voice. I've been doing so much talking.
That's good. That's a good sign. We've helped lots of people.
Yeah. No, this is great fun. Yeah, I love talking shop, so happy to do it. And yeah, we end up, learning quite a bit from these sessions too. So we appreciate the questions you guys ask and the feedback you give us. We do try and really take that into consideration when we look at our roadmap and what we're working on.
Perfect. Okay.
Cool.
I think then we'll call it. Thank you very much, Andrew, for your time.
Right. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you so much for all your questions and feedback. And good luck with your direct business.